friends, it's Stasia and welcome back to my channel. So today we will be wrapping up the month of January. I honestly can't believe January is over. We're already done with the first month of the year, but also I'm so glad it was over because January was a mess. But anyways, as per usual, we'll go through them in the order that I read them. But before we do that, we will go over my book haul and the books that I acquired. So for my book haul, I'm very proud to say that I did not buy any books in the month of January. The only book mail that I technically bought was my Book of the Month box. So for Book of the Month, I just went ahead and stuck with Rachel Hawkins. So I got both The Wife Upstairs and Reckless Girl. I've already read The Wife Upstairs, but you know, now they look gorgeous together and I'm happy. And I did read Reckless Girls this month. So spoiler alert, I'm caught up on Rachel Hawkins. So now the other books are all from publishers and authors. I didn't get any books from like friends or anything like that. The first book I got is Free Food for Millionaires. I have no idea what this is about. It seems a bit historical, but I've heard good things about this author. She's a chunk, so I am hoping to get to it soon. Then I got the Metropolitan Opera Murders, which is a fun little, it seems like cozy mystery vibes, something of that sense. So I'm excited. Then I got the Marvelous Monroe Girls. Oh, you can't really see it, but that's what it is. A Girl Like You. So those were all finished copies, and then I got 2 arcs. So the first arc that I got was The Cage, which seems like a thriller, and I'm actually super excited for this one. This one comes out February 22nd, so I'm hoping to read it before then and have like a rapid review up for it. And the other is a historical called Atomic Anna, and this does not come out until April 5th. So that is that. Now let's go into the books that I read. But before we do that, of course, let us do some stats. So I have my stats on my phone, so if I'm looking down, that's why. So first and foremost, I read a total of 15 books, which is actually so crazy to me because I don't know how that happened, but the last I would say 10 or days so, I just was reading so much. But anyways, I read 15 books and that totaled out to 4,874 pages. The genres that I read were 1 dystopian, 5 fantasy, 2 graphic novels, 2 mystery, 3 romance, and 2 thrillers. So my format breakdown was 8 physical books, 5 ebooks, and then 7 audiobooks. But 6 of those were like mixes. Yeah, it makes sense in my head. So that is my stats. Now we will go ahead and go into the books that I read. So the first book that I read was Without Disruption by Carrie French. I was kindly gifted a copy from the author, so I do have an official review up on both my Instagram and my blog, both which are linked down below. This is a dystopian novel where the world or their life is ran by an AI who is basically programmed to make sure that everyone is content in their lifestyle. They have like different jobs, different lives that they could live and try out, and if they don't like it, then they can try another one. So the main goal is to be happy, content for 100 years before they die and stuff like that. So we follow our main character. He's going through it. He isn't sure which path he wants to take, things like that. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I did really enjoy our main character. I thought overall the world and the AI was super interesting. The only thing that was kind of lacking for me was I felt like our side characters in certain events were just there to help the story move along rather than adding a little extra something to the story. They were kind of just there out of convenience, we get hardly any backstories on most of our side characters, and they kind of just pop in and out whenever it seems convenient. So I didn't entirely like that portion of it, but I still did really enjoy it. The next book I read was in a holidays. This was still early days of the month, and I mainly read this one because it was a book of the month for a book club in December, but I still wanted to go to the discussion, so I binged this. If you don't know what this is, because I had no idea what this was, but it's more of like a Groundhog Day. Our main character repeats the same day until she figures out how to break the loop, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I did really enjoy the time loop concept. I just felt like we never really got much closure on that. Like, you never actually really know if the like time loop is over. They kind of just like, it just stops, but there's no like conversation or closure about that. Our main character was also hit or miss. Sometimes she really bugged me, but sometimes she was great. Our love interest was fine. He was very just like there. He didn't really add any like flavor, I would say, but I did enjoy it overall. I thought the Groundhog Day element was a lot of fun, and in this story, she has a big family. Well, not really she has a big family, but like it's 3 different families who are all in the same cabin because that's what they do every year. And it was just a lot of fun having to see all the characters, all the different family. I love books with like big family aspects, so that was really fun in this one. Then I read Where They Found Her by Kimberly McCreate. I read this for the book troop, which is a book club hosted by Gabby Reads. I gave this book 2.5 stars. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. The main thing, okay, so basically, let me just give you a synopsis really quick. So this book starts off with a infant being found who is not alive. And so we're going through the book trying to figure out what actually happened to this infant. No one really knows what is going on. So that's basically the premise of the story, is trying to figure out what happened to this infant. Where it kind of went wrong for me was that this book had so many characters. It was kind of overwhelming. I just don't understand. We had literally like chapters and point of views from basically almost all of our characters, and I just found it to be so overwhelming and unnecessary. I felt like the book would have packed a harder punch had we not had like 10 different character point of views. It got really confusing and hard to follow, and it just wasn't my cup of tea, honestly. Some of the twists did really shock me, so that was there. So I could enjoy that. Like, it did pack a punch some places, but then there was like I guess like a secondary twist, which I didn't really vibe with. I didn't find it necessary. So overall, 2.5 for me. Not bad, but I've read better thrillers. The next 4 books I'm going to go through really quick, just give you a synopsis and my final rating. I'm not going to go into any thoughts because I have a reading vlog that went out where I read all 4 of these books, and those are not spoiler, but they do have further thoughts on those. And it is reading my friend's favorite books of 2021. So I'll leave it above and below if you do want to watch it and see more of my thoughts. So the first book I read was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I gave this 4 stars. This follows 2 friends, Alex and Poppy, who are like best friends. When they met in like college or something like that, they decided to go on these really like low fund vacations where they weren't like spending millions, but they were just doing what they could do with what they had. And they would go on these vacations, and then suddenly something happens on one of their vacations and they just stop going on them. They don't really talk anymore. But then like 2 years later, Poppy reaches out to Alex and she's like, hey, I want to do another vacation. So we go ahead and go through with that, see how things play out, see what happened and why the vacation stopped in the first place. So that was this one. Then I read The Timekeeper, which I gave 4 stars as well. This basically follows our main character, who is Father Time. He basically like invented time and things like that. So we follow 2 different stories of a person who wants all of the time. Like, they don't feel like they have enough time. And then we follow another character who doesn't want time. She just wants it to end. So that's basically what we're following. And this book is basically talking about like time, the importance of time, like what time means to other people and things like that. So I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Under the Whispering Door, which I gave 2 stars. This book basically follows a man named Wallace who has just died. And after he dies, he's stuck in like this in-between sort of world where he's trying to figure out what happened and get himself ready to go through the door that leads to whatever. Nobody knows unless you go through. So we're basically following him. And I gave it 2 stars. Unpopular opinion, but it is what it is. Lastly, I read The Inheritance Game, and I gave this 4 stars. So in this book, we follow our main character, Avery, who gets a letter from a random person saying that she needs to come to the reading of a will of a millionaire because he put her in it and they all need to be present for the reading of the will. So she goes to read this will and she found out this millionaire she does not even know basically left her everything, and she has no idea why. She cannot recall ever meeting the man. She doesn't know how she's connected to him. The only catch is that in order for her to take the inheritance and all of that stuff, she has to live in the Hawthorne house for a year. The Hawthorne house is where this millionaire lived, but not just him, his grandsons, his children, things like that, they all live there and they're all continuing to live there. So basically in this book we're following Avery and she's trying to figure out like why this inheritance was left for her, and it's just a mystery. It was fun. Then I read The Keeper of Night, and this book follows our main character Ren, who is a half British Reaper, half Japanese Shinigami. And yeah, so she's basically going on this adventure, trying to find where she fits in and things like that. I give this book 2 stars. I gave it 2.5. It was very middle of the road for me. I felt like the book was overall very boring, anticlimactic. There wasn't really much going on. I felt like Ren was not really a good character to follow. If we had maybe got multiple point of views, that may have changed it up. But overall, I didn't really find Ren all that interesting. The reason I picked this up was because I was very interested in like the whole Shinigami element. But we don't really explore her abilities that much, and then the ending is kind of just crazy. Like, I don't know, things just hit the fan and start going everywhere with no truly logical explanation as to why everything happened. There was some twists that caught me off guard, but overall it was fine. Then I read A Deal with the Elf King by Lise Kova. I read this for the Book Boyfriends Are Better book club, and I gave this 4 stars. This basically follows a girl, I don't know her name, but, oh, wait, what is her name? Luella. Luella is her name. So we basically follow a girl named Luella who lives in this world where her world and like a magical world are split apart. There's like a wall in between them, but in order for the wall to stay standing and for like the humans to be at ease, every 100 years, I believe, the ruler of the magical realm called the Elf King has a human wife because she has like some sort of ability. So in this book, Luella is living her life and the Elf King comes. Things get crazy. I'm pretty sure it's in the synopsis, but Luella is the human queen and nobody knew. So she basically gets taken from the human world with no like proper warning and gets taken to the magical realm. And so there she's trying to figure out like what's actually happening. She's also trying to deal with the Elf King, who she doesn't really like. And yeah, honestly, she's trying to figure out her powers, things like that. So I gave it 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. Luella, don't really like her. I did really enjoy the Elf King. I felt like the side characters were so much fun. They added a lot to the story and trying to figure out like what the Elf King's deal was and how they were going to fix situations and things like that. I just loved the side characters. My main issue with this was that Luella was literally so annoying. I did not like her at all, but I did love the romance. This book gave me very strong ACOTAR vibes, A Court of Thorns and Roses, if you've read that. It gave me very strong vibes of that, but but I thought it was done like significantly better. I did not really care for ACOTAR. But yes, so I really loved the romance. It's very much a slow burn romance, which I wasn't expecting, but I felt like the Elf King, chef's kiss. Then the next two books I read were Monstrous Volume 4 and 5. I gave them each 4 stars. If you don't know what this series is about, it basically follows a girl who is like a, I'm not really sure. She has like a monster inside of her where she will like eat and kill humans when she's like asleep. So she has like no recollection of killing these humans, but she needs it so that the monster inside of her would like stay tame because he needs to eat them. That's as much as I could tell you. This series is very political. I jumped into volume 4, honestly so confused. I read volume 3 last year and I don't know, like it was just not connecting. So it took me a bit to get into volume 4, and then volume 5 was there. But like I said, I gave them both 4 stars. I can't really talk about like plot wise or anything like that, but love the art. I love the characters. The story moves along really fast, which I enjoy. So those were that. The next book I read was 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This was for the Shelf This book club hosted by Bailey, and I really enjoyed this book. This book, it is a retelling of some sort of like myth, folklore type of situation. So basically, in this book, we follow our main character named Shiori, and she and her brothers basically get exiled and enchanted due to like a situation. So they're basically trying to figure out how they can get back home and find each other again. Yeah, that's basically what it is. I gave this book 5 stars. I literally love this book so much. I thought this book was so fun. It was so good. And it's kind of weird because my highest rated this month is a fantasy. Like, this is my favorite book of the month. But anyways, I loved Shiori. Honestly, she's like a bad B main character, just trying to figure out like what's going on, and she just wants her family back, her brothers back, things like that. We do meet her brothers. I felt like her brothers were, they added a little fun, like kind of, they're fine. And then her love interest, which I'm not going to say who it is, but love him. He's my favorite love interest ever. I love him. But I just felt like it is a bit of a bigger book, but I felt like the story just was going by so smoothly, so fast. It really honestly kept me on my toes the entire time. I always wanted to know what was going on. There were, I'm not sure a lot of fantasies do this, but there was like a lot of twists in this one where I literally was like, I was shook. My jaw was on the floor and I was like, what? What is happening? I don't know. I do not know what is happening. But it was so much fun anyways. Loved it, ate it up. Cannot wait for book 2. And I need to read Spin the Dawn, which is the other duology by this author. Next, I read Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, like I mentioned earlier. So basically, this book is about our main character, whose name I do not know. But you know, it's fine. We really don't need to know her name, right? She and her boyfriend and a couple other people go to an island that is supposedly haunted. There was like some situation in World War II that happened there, and it's like haunted, but they wanted to go to like a remote off the grid place. So there's like no Wi-Fi, there's like nothing, honestly, that's there. So they go there, and when they pull up, they expected to be alone, but there's 2 other people there. So there's these 6 people on an island, and then things go crazy at some point. And people start dying, secrets come out. Pretty crazy. But I gave this book a 3.5 stars, mainly because I felt like it was a bit too slow burn for me. Like, this book literally, like, people don't start dying until like the end. Which, I mean, like, when reading the book, it makes sense as to why it took so long for people to start dying and things like that. But I mean, it was twisty. The secrets coming out was very shocking, but I felt like it was a little too slow burn for me. We also get multiple timelines at some point. Like, we get some backstories on certain characters, which I thought was interesting, but like in the moment I was like, I don't really care for this, because I didn't like understand how it connected in the end, but I got it. overall, I just felt like this was just a very slow burn thriller, and I kind of expected a little bit more. I wanted more from the characters, especially since it was like an isolated setting. It didn't really feel all that isolated until like the very end, where everything started like going haywire. But I do think it is still worth the read if you can deal with a slow burn. It just wasn't quite what I wanted, I guess. The next book I read was Already Missing by Blake Pierce, and this was honestly just kind of on a whim. I was just scrolling through Hoopla audiobooks and I was just like, like what's here? So I was like, I just need like a quick audiobook that I can listen to like in a day, because it was like the last day of the month, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to finish an audiobook today. So I was looking at their short audiobooks and I came across this. I had no idea what I was going into, but pleasantly surprised, I will say that. So this basically follows an FBI agent, which I usually don't like, but it worked here for me. So we follow an FBI agent who is on the hunt trying to find a serial killer that like local police don't understand what's going on. And the serial killer basically leaves his victims on a platform, like an elevated platform, like above ground. Not above ground. It's like levitating above ground, I guess. I assume it's like attached to the ceiling or something. I don't know. But anyways, he leaves his victim there like strongly tied up. They cannot get out. They really can't move because they also have like a noose around their neck. So if they like try to go away, then they're gonna hang themselves. So it follows that, and basically what he does is like he gives them a certain time limit, 24 hours, and then the platform drops and then they die, but he's like long gone, so nobody knows who's doing it because he sets this all up beforehand and then just disappears. And that alone was so crazy. So that's basically it. We just follow this FBI trying to figure out who this person is. Super quick book, honestly. And I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I ate it up. It was such a quick read, and like the whole case I thought was like gonna get boring, like it was gonna get repetitive, but then it gets like so twisty and you don't know what's going on, and it's so much fun, and I loved it. It was so good. This is like the 4th book in like a series, like I think it's called like Laura Frost FBI, something like that, and I am going to read the first 3 and then see how many others there are, because I ate this up. It's such a quick read. It honestly keeps you on your toes the entire time. Like you kind of feel like maybe you know what's going on. Trust me, you don't know what's going on. And then everything just gets revealed and you're like, wow. Let me just sit down for a moment because I don't know what the heck just happened. But it was so good. So good. And the ending is just so satisfying. And it's great. I recommend it. Never seen it before, like anywhere, but I recommend it. The last book that I read was The Society #Stalker Problems by Ivy Smoke. Yeah, not it. I gave this book 2 stars. I didn't really care for it much, which is kind of sad because I read her other series, the Hunted series. Loved it. Ate it up. Like, that's such a fun series. I felt like this book was so long for no reason. Like, it's hinting at 500 pages, and it just didn't work for me. Our main character was literally ridiculous. The entire book is honestly ridiculous. She said like this is her steamiest book. Nah, no steam. I thought her Temptation Hunted series was so much like steamier. And I just thought our main character honestly annoyed me to no end. I did not like her. She's actually so annoying. And then like the relationships, the concept behind the book could have been great, and it just didn't execute for me. Like I literally found it so boring. I wanted to cry. And it was just too long. The characters sucked. So yeah. It is what it is, I guess. So there it is. That is the 15 books I somehow read throughout the month of January. It was an average month for me. I only had 2 5 stars and a lot of like 2.5 stars, but it's fine. It was very middle of the road. Actually, I had a lot of 4 stars, which aren't bad, but I did have more than normal 2.5 stars. But anyways, it's fine. It's fine. It is what it is. Yeah. So that is what I read this month. If you've read any of these, or if you have any opinions, anything like that, just let me know. I'd love to talk. But other than that, that's it for me today. So you can like, comment, and subscribe down below if you would like all of my socials to follow me anywhere else, and anything that was mentioned, people, videos, otherwise will be linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!